Alright, everyone finished with their do now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Raise your hand if you can tell me what you wrote in your answer, your short 2-word answer. The prompt was, think of one reason why students don't like school lunch. And today I'm going to give you your stickers on the classwork paper for a reason. Najee, what's one reason kids don't like school lunch?
It's nasty.
It's nasty. Raise your hand if you put something similar, some adjective similar to it being gross, nasty, yucky. Raise your hand if you put something different. Kyla, what'd you put?
School lunch is small.
Small, okay. Raise your hand if you put it's like a small quantity. A few people, okay. Who put something completely different than any of those? Chan, what did you put?
To some kids, it's expensive.
Say it louder.
To some kids, it's expensive.
Expensive, okay, that's good, that's different. What did you put, Shiko?
Food be dry sometimes.
It's dry, so would that fall under the adjective of what? Kind of gross. Hard. Gross. Very good. This is my point. Do you remember the prompt that we had, the writing prompt that you had? It said, think of one good thing and one bad thing about playing on a sports team, and everyone's bad thing was what, everyone? Injury, right? Today we're going to try and get away from that. Okay, we're going to try and avoid that. So, what I want you to do, to prove my point further, on the paper that I put on your desk that says creative brainstorming, you see the numbers 1 through 15?
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to play a little challenge. Everyone get your pencil ready. Yes, ma'am.
My pen running.
Okay, I got you. Everyone get your pen or pencil ready. Start on 1. These are the rules. I'm going to say a word, and you're going to just write down the very first thing that comes to your brain. Okay, so if I said like soccer, the first thing that comes to my mind is soccer ball, so I would write that down. Okay, whatever word I say, the first thing that comes to your brain, the most generic thing, whatever it may be, write it down. Okay?
You
Yes.
mean like any word, like any word?
Any word. Okay? They're going to start pretty easy, and then they're going to get more complicated. That relates to it. Okay? And they're going to go in order. There are 15. Yes, you go. Yeah. All right. We're going to start with number 1. Ready? I'm just going to read them straight. Don't look at anyone else's. Just first thing that pops into your head. Peanut butter. Ice cream. Vanilla. Scrambled eggs. The sky. Martin Luther King Jr. School uniforms. Dress code. Bullying. School lunch. Your favorite after-school activity. Freedom Middle School. Miss Thomas. Principal. Last one. Role model. Alright, pencils down. This is how this is going to work. When I planned this out, in my head I was thinking of, at first, things that everyone would think of. So when I put peanut butter, how many people put jelly? Raise your hand if you put jelly. Alright, so a lot of you did. What I want to do, for each one, I'm going to go down in order. I'm going to say 1. I just want at least one person to say what they wrote, okay? If Kyla answers number 1 and yours is similar to hers, just circle it, okay? And at the end, I'll show you what I wanted you to see from this, okay? So raise your hand if you want to answer some. I want like everyone to at least say 1. Number 1, what'd you put, Eduardo? Jelly. So circle it if you put jelly as well, or something similar. Any adjective similar, okay? It doesn't have to be exact. 2, Kyla, what'd you put for ice cream?
Milk.
Milk, okay, circle if it was anything similar. Raise your hand, number 3. Chan?
Sweet.
Sweet for vanilla sweet, okay. Number 4, scrambled eggs, what'd you put? Jerry?
Eggs.
Eggs, okay. Number 5, the sky, what'd you put, Kiki?
Blue.
Blue, okay, circle if you put blue. Number 6, Martin Luther King, this is where they got a little bit more creative. Monalito,
Best.
say it one more time.
Best.
Best, okay. Number 7, school uniforms, raise your hand if you can tell me what you put. Shiku,
Get out.
get out,
Yeah.
okay. Number 8, dress code, Kyla.
Why?
Why? Interesting. Circle if it's anything similar, like no or bad or I don't want it. Circle if any adjective that's similar. What number are we on?
9.
9. Raise your hand and tell me what you put for bullying. Shamiria. Bad. Any adjective in that same realm. Bad. That's exactly what I had on mine actually. Number 10, school lunch. Raise your hand. Eduardo, what you put?
Nasty.
Nasty. Any bad adjective like that? Number 11, your favorite after school activity. Shiku.
Correct.
Rapping, okay. Anything creative, reading, rapping, playing, okay. Number 12, let's be nice. Freedom Middle School. What'd you put? What is it? Educated, something about education. Circle if it's similar. Miss Thomas, what did you put? Meritu? Nice, that's very sweet of you. Principal, let's be kind, okay. Diary?
Wait, you got Mr. Rope?
Any principal, what's the first thing you think of?
Ball.
Something kind, Kyla?
Newbie.
A new, okay, so we have a new principal. A lot of people my first period put that. 15, role model. Maritina. Your uncle, okay? So if you put a family member, circle it. How many of you at least circled 2 things? Okay, this whole half. How many of you, this some here, how many of you circled 3 things similar? 4 things. 5 things similar. 6 things similar. 7 things similar. Okay, here's my point. Here's my point is that when you think of these things, when you think of a topic, okay, it's usually someone else is going to think of it too. So when I said the sky, how many of you put blue? Raise your hand. Almost every single person put blue, right? When you get a writing prompt and the first 3 things you think of to write as your paragraphs, guess who else is going to think of that? Everyone else in the whole state of Georgia. What we're doing today is learning how to brainstorm creatively so your ideas are completely separate from everyone else's, okay? On the next box on your paper where it says what I think brainstorming is, I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Anything that you've ever been taught, write down. What do you think brainstorming is? Like when someone says, brainstorm this, what does that mean to you? Write that down. Give you like 30 more seconds. Alright, 10 more seconds. Alright, pencils on, someone share with me what you wrote. Meritu, what is brainstorming to you?
Putting anything that's in mind.
Say it louder.
Anything that comes to you.
Anything that comes to your mind, okay? What did you put? Kiki,
Any words that come to your mind?
anything that comes to your mind, very similar, kind of ironic, very similar. Samaya,
Thinking of options and ways on something.
thinking of options, so a lot of us have thinking in our answer. Almadine, ideas, okay, very good. What I noticed in looking at all of yours, I got it, hang on. Looking at all of yours and in my last class, everyone thinks it's like thinking, the process of thinking. In that next box next to it, I want you to write this little definition. What brainstorming actually is, if you look up any definition, it's a technique. it's not just thinking, it's like a technique about thinking. So this should be in that middle box. So a group problem solving technique that involves the spontaneous contribution of ideas. What does spontaneous mean? Okay.
Like great, like perfect.
Spontaneous is like random, like I just decided I'm gonna do something. So put that, just that one definition there. So what it actually is a group problem solving technique. On the writing test or when you're writing an essay, do you write it as a group, everyone?
No.
No. So today we're gonna practice brainstorming together, but I also want you to get to the point where you can do this creatively on your own. So a group problem solving technique involves spontaneous contribution of ideas. So put your pencil down when you're ready to move on. Alright, I added one more. You do not need to write this, but just to show you in a different way. It's also a technique used to encourage creative problem solving. What I'm seeing here, spontaneous and creative, is what our brainstorms are lacking, okay? And that's not a bad thing, we just need to learn to train our brains this way. I also included what brainstorming is not. It is not trying to understand what to write about. If you're trying to think, what am I supposed to write about, you need to back up a step and you need to understand the prompt. And that actually leads to the very next one. It is not trying to understand the writing prompt. The last writing prompt that you were given about social media, that was a really, really difficult prompt, right? So brainstorming is not trying to figure out what that prompt is. That means you need to back up a step. So brainstorming is developing your actual ideas. Once you have those two written down in that third box, put your pencils down, eyes up here, and I'll know you're ready. Okay, and as the last one I included, you do not need to write this one. But it is also not looking to the sky and hoping something will come to your brain. Because a lot of times I feel like people ask you to brainstorm and then I see this. Right? It's spontaneity, like getting it out on paper. Okay? And that's what we're going to practice today. So, do you remember this prompt from yesterday? About exotic animals? Was not the most exciting prompt. I gave it to you because it was not the most exciting, but we owned it. I want to look at this and develop ideas as a class. So we're going to come up with our own ideas as a class. So the way that you brainstorm creatively and uniquely, a topic like this, what were we looking for in this prompt? Marita.
There's reasons why or why not. You don't. Why or why not? Like people should not own exotic things.
Read this first sentence again for me, Marita. This one right here, write an expository essay.
Oh, what is good and what is bad?
What is good and what is bad. So that's what made it expository. What's good and what's bad. Let's decide as a class, we're going to brainstorm either what's good about exotic animals or bad. What do we want to do? Raise your hand if you want to say the good things about exotic animals. Raise your hand if you want to say the bad things. Alright, majority rules, bad things. At the bottom, where you see that little circle, right in the middle of the circle, bad things. This is the only time you can use things in your writing. Bad things about exotic animals. Okay, so the first step I'm going to give you in how to do this creatively, when I say go, I want you to write the first 3 things that pop to your mind about bad things about animals and put them in bubbles right around, okay? Right around that big circle. The first 3 things that you think are bad about owning an exotic animal. Go, right, quickly. First 3 things, random things. pencils down if you're finished. Now I want you to take those three things, cross them out. You can't use them. Cross them out. Can't use them. Raise your hand if you put something about them being dangerous. So this entire half of the room, anything about being dangerous. Every single person in this room except for 2 put that. Think about if everyone got this writing prompt and everyone wrote it. Everyone would say the same thing. Cross them out, we're not going to use that. Now what I want you to do, think of 3 other completely separate ideas from it being dangerous. Literally, close your eyes, free your brain, and imagine you have a pet tiger in your house. What would be bad about that? What foreseeable problems do you see? Like, put yourself in the prompt, close your eyes, do whatever you need to do, and think of 3 very unique reasons. This is the harder part, because the obvious things are gone. I put that one too. Do you see how that's more creative than this one? Alright, raise your hand if you think, for 2 stickers, you have the most creative new reason. Like, the most creative new reason. That is still relevant to the topic, but that you would use instead of being dangerous. Chan.
They may run away from food and end up being put to sleep by animal control.
Okay. So how could you make that a topic sentence? Say it one more time for me.
They run away from food and end up put to sleep by animal control.
Okay, so they could run away from you because they're not a usual pet. Okay. Someone else, the most creative, unique idea that you had, Marito.
They might go out and do something weird, like they might eat something weird and then cause different diseases.
Okay, so cause different diseases. Do you see how that is so much more specific than being dangerous? And much more unique. If I started to read your paper, I'd be excited to read it. Diary, one more.
It's not good to be around small children or other animals.
Okay, not good to be around small children. That's a very specific, very good reason. And you could pull in the dangerous thing from that. Monalita, which book?
Where you will find healthcare for the pet.
Healthcare, very specific. How are you going to take a cheetah to the vet? Right, very good, very specific. Do you see how that paper, just by brainstorming in a different way, is going to make your paper so much more entertaining to read? And your ideas are going to get you so much, it's going to be much better ideas. So after you cross out the first obvious 3 answers, I want you to develop 3 other ones, but then look back at all 6. Look back at all 6, and if you really like one of the first ones, it's okay to use it, but maybe combine it with a different reason, okay? Flip to the back of that page, and this is your challenge. So exactly what we just did, these 3 steps, think of the first 3 things that pop into your brain, cross them out, and try and think of 3 alternative unique ideas I want you to do with a partner. Remember how both those definitions said it's collaboratively working together? You 2 are going to be partners. Whoever you're sitting next to will be your partner. Underneath that paper, you're given 4 prompts. I wrote them to be very relevant to your lives, okay? So they're much more relevant to you and something that you would encounter in your life. So I called them moral dilemma writing prompts. With your partner, I want you to do the same exact process we did as a class on this back side. So you have 3 bubbles right here. Those are for the first 3 that you're working on together. I'm going to give you 20 minutes to do those together in pairs, and then the last one you're doing on your own. Here's the trick though. I want all of your things that you brainstorm to be completely different from every other group. If your group comes up with a brainstorm that has 3 different bubbles, different from everyone else in here, you are the winner of that brainstorm, okay? Questions? Someone repeat back to me what we're doing. Maritia.
I mean, we two partners.
Okay, with your partner, what are you doing?
And then we brainstorm. We eliminate the ones that we get first one, and then we do the third one.
Beautiful. And what should I see on your paper when I'm walking around?
What's your reasons?
3 and then 3 crossed out that you're picking. Okay? Be unique, be creative. If you reach a point where you're kind of stuck, put yourself in there. Be that person. Be the person that's making this decision, and that'll help you. It'll be more real to you. Okay? So you are working with the person next to you. I want a soft whisper, and I'm going to float around and hear you. But you don't want to talk too loudly because the person next to you might snatch your idea. Okay? Are there any questions at all before we get started? All right, go. Yeah, Almadine asked, should you have the same answers if you're working with your partner? Of course. So bounce ideas off each other. You like that first one? It's a good one. Did you read it? It's realistic. It's real life. Oh.
Yeah, you see what I'm talking? I know.
I also didn't tell you if they were expository prompts or persuasive. You have to figure that out. And that's what we worked on last week. So you should look at those key words. That's on you to figure out. So it is real life. Where do you think? That is one of the most creative, unique ideas. If you wrote that in a paper, I would enjoy reading it. That's awesome. That's what I'm looking for. Things outside of the box. Let's go. Don't overthink it. Just the first 3 things, and then think outside the box. Imagine it's you and your best friend that this happened to. What would you do? Put yourself literally in that. It'll help you get ideas. That's because a lot of people but how many people do? A lot. But put that on there to show your thinking. And then what you can do at the end is like combine, but also if you have 60 things, you can combine them together. Okay? Let's do that. Just write it if you're going to tell them. So how many? What else? Put that down. Put that down. Did you? This is a very this will happen to you at some point in your lifetime to have knowledge. Imagine that's very different. Imagine that's Put yourself in there. What would you do? And why? You tell me. So decide what you want to do. Why? Why would you do that? That's what you're defending. Why are you going to tell her not to?